Day 11. 1. Measure for measure. The punishment fits the sin. Saint Corpri, Cookpray, a bishop in Ireland, remained in church after Vespers to pray before the altar. Suddenly there appeared before him a ghastly spectre, greenish, fierce, oddly dressed. Around its neck it wore a collar of fire. Upon one shoulder hung a filthy, torn cloak that covered only one arm. The bishop, unafraid, looked it in the face and asked who it was. The apparition replied, "I am a soul who has passed to the other life." The bishop asked, "Why is your appearance so strange and dreadful?" The spectre answered, "It is the punishment for my sins. Though you see me in this pitiable state, I am Malachy, once king of Ireland. In my lofty station I could have done much good, yet I did not." Corpri asked in surprise, "I thought your majesty had confessed and fully repented of all your former sins." The spirit replied, "Alas, I refused to obey my confessor. I made him yield to my irregularities and shamelessly bribed him with a gold ring as a token of my favor. Now, for that sin, I must wear this fiery collar about my neck. It burns me cruelly and holds me like a prisoner. As for that unfaithful confessor, he cannot help me, for he himself wears a collar far more painful and scorching." The bishop then inquired about the meaning of the ragged, dirty cloak the spirit wore. It answered, "It is the punishment for a work of charity I failed to do. A beggar, nearly naked, came to me for alms. I referred him to the queen. She had little compassion and tossed him this wretched rag. Now I must wear it in shame." The saint asked why the spirit had appeared to him and what it desired. It said, "The demons torment me with countless punishments, but when the evening office is sung, they tremble and flee, leaving me a brief respite. God allows me to come to you to beg your prayers." Then the spectre cried out, "Woe, woe, the devils are coming. But before I depart, I wish to point out where I kept 3 kilos of gold and over 300 kilos of silver. Do with them as you judge best." Saint Corpri answered, "No, no, I desire no treasure but that of heaven. Yet that will not keep me from doing all I can to help you." The spectre vanished, crying aloud, "Woe to those who fail to do good while there is still time." The bishop gathered his priests and told them the vision, seeking counsel on how to act for the deliverance of the king and of the confessor. They decided that the bishop would pray especially for the king, and the priests would pray for the confessor, offering holy masses, fasting, and fervent prayers to appease the divine anger. These devotions were carried out faithfully for 6 months. The king then appeared to the bishop and said that his sufferings had been reduced by half, yet remained so great that earthly minds could not comprehend them. The prayers, masses, and penances continued until Malachy appeared a 3rd time, exceedingly joyful, glorified, and happy. He announced that he had been received into heaven and would never forget his great benefactor. He added that his confessor would enter heaven after him, thanks to the prayers and mortifications of the cathedral clergy. The saint asked why they had not entered heaven together. The king replied that the personal intercession of the bishop had been more pleasing to God than the combined prayers of the other priests. Thus does God show special favor to those who love him more. 2. Prelates and religious are severely purified in purgatory for failings in their office. Blessed Francisca of the Blessed Sacrament burned with devotion to the holy souls. She was the very embodiment of zeal for them, always praying, fasting, wearing a hair shirt, and practicing harsh penance, 7 to the shedding of blood. She constantly had masses offered and urged many others to perform good works for the soul's deliverance. The demons tried to convince her that she herself would spend many years in purgatory, because she thought only of the dead and neglected herself. But the holy souls often appeared, assuring her they would repay 100-fold. Many witnesses testified that souls frequently came to her, surrounding her bed and waiting for her to awaken. They said that merely seeing her lessened the severity of their pains. When they saw her praying the rosary, they took the beads and kissed them as instruments of their deliverance. To move her even more, they often appeared with the very instruments of their sins, which had become the instruments of their punishment. At times, bishops appeared wearing flaming insignia of their rank, saying, We suffer because we sought honors and office too eagerly. At times, priests appeared with vestments burning like torches and covered with stain signs of their lack of due reverence toward the Most Holy Eucharist. One religious appeared laden with precious objects, glowing red-hot, because he had displayed such valuables in his room, contrary to the rule of his order. Blessed Francisca also saw a notary of Soria, with all his tools paper, pen, ink scorching hot, because he had acted unjustly. He begged her to ask God's pardon for his addiction to gambling. In addition, a bag of fire clung to his hand as punishment for theft. He said, "At death I would have fallen into hell if God had not granted me perfect contrition, but I must endure a very long and very painful purgatory. I beg you, pray and do penance that I may be delivered." Christophe de Rivera, Bishop of Pamplona, heard that Blessed Francisca had been given light from God, that his predecessor was still detained in purgatory. He prayed, and especially asked Francisca to pray. One night, the former bishop appeared to her to thank her, and then ascended to heaven. If bishops, priests, and religious are so strictly punished even for lighter faults, what of us? We must take warning and strive to live in great holiness. Prayer. O Lord, grant that we may take to heart the lesson you have set before us, and never follow the ruts of the fallen cart. For when the wagon ahead is overturned, the one behind must beware. Amen.